Imagine you are standing at the edge of a field. On one side, there is a herd of cows. They are large, calm, and close together. Some are eating grass. Some barely look up as a person walks past the fence. On the other side, there's a deer. It hears one twig snap. Its head rises, its ears turn, and before you have even taken a second step, it is gone. That seems like a small difference, but it may explain why one animal became one of the foundations of human civilization while the other remained mostly wild. Cows became meat, milk, leather, fertilizer, labor, and wealth. People built fences, barns, trade routes, and entire economies around them. Deer gave humans meat, hide, bone, antler, and stories. People hunted them across continents for thousands of years. So why did we not domesticate deer the way we domesticated cows? The first answer is surprising. In some places, we did. People farm deer today. There are farms that raise red deer, fallow deer, elk, and other members of the deer family for venison, antlers, breeding, or tourism. In northern Eurasia, reindeer herding has supported indigenous and local communities for centuries. Reindeer have been used for transport, clothing, food, and work in landscapes where cattle would struggle to survive. So deer are not impossible to manage, and reindeer are not simply wild animals that happen to stand near people. They are part of one of humanity's most remarkable animal relationships. But that relationship is not the same as a cow standing in a dairy barn. That difference is the key. To understand it, we need to separate three ideas that people often mix together. The first is taming. A wild animal can become used to people. It may take food from a hand, tolerate a nearby human, or stop fleeing when it sees someone familiar. But a tame animal is still genetically wild. A tame deer is not the same thing as a domesticated deer. The second idea is farming. People can keep animals behind fences, feed them, breed them, and raise them for products. That is possible with many species, including some deer. But farming does not automatically erase the traits that made the animal wild in the first place. The third idea is domestication. Domestication happens across many generations. Humans control which animals breed. The animals that tolerate people better, reproduce reliably, grow in managed conditions, and fit human needs are more likely to leave offspring. Over time, the population changes. That is why a dairy cow is not just a tame version of an ancient wild cattle ancestor. It is the result of thousands of years of selective breeding. Cattle were shaped by people, and people were shaped by cattle. But deer did not follow that same path in most parts of the world. Why not? One reason is that deer are built to leave. A deer's entire body is designed around awareness and escape. Its ears listen in different directions. Its eyes sit wide on the head, helping it watch for danger. Its legs are made for sudden bursts of movement. It can leap obstacles that would stop many farm animals. It can slip through spaces that look far too narrow. A cow can run, kick, charge, and injure people. Cattle are not harmless, but many cattle breeds have been selected for generations to live under close human management. They can be moved in herds, handled, bred, and kept behind ordinary farm barriers. Deer can be much more difficult. A fence that seems perfectly secure can become a challenge. Deer can jump high. They can test weak spots. They can panic when startled. And panic is expensive on a farm. A frightened deer does not simply become inconvenient. It can injure itself against a fence, crash into an enclosure, become separated from the group, or turn routine handling into a dangerous event for both the animal and the people nearby. This does not mean every deer is impossible to calm down. It means their natural flight response can make large-scale management harder. And that flight response is not a flaw. It is the reason deer survived. For a deer in the wild, running first is often smarter than waiting to discover whether something is dangerous. A deer that pauses too long can become food. A deer that escapes early gets another chance. That instinct worked brilliantly in forests, grasslands, mountains, and wetlands. It just does not always work well inside a human farm system. Then there's the problem of food. At first glance, deer and cows seem similar. Both are hoofed plant eaters. Both chew cud. Both can live in groups. Both eat vegetation. But vegetation is a huge category. Cattle are grazing specialists. They are extremely well suited to eating large amounts of grass and turning it into milk and meat. Humans could move cattle onto pasture land and get useful products in return. Many deer are more selective browsers. Depending on the species and season, they may prefer leaves, shoots, buds, bark, fruit, shrubs, acorns, fungi, crops, and a changing mix of other plants. That can make them flexible in the wild, but it can make feeding them like cattle more complicated. A cow can often thrive on a well-managed diet built around pasture, hay, silage, and feed. Deer may need more careful nutrition, especially in captivity. Their food choices can change by season, age, habitat, and reproductive condition. And then there are antlers. Antlers look beautiful from a distance. On a farm, they can become a management problem. Male deer grow antlers for competition and display. During the breeding season, males can become more aggressive, more unpredictable, and more dangerous to each other. Antlers can injure rivals, damage fences, and make close handling more difficult. Cattle have horns in some breeds, of course, but humans have spent a very long time breeding, selecting, and managing cattle around those risks. With deer, the challenge begins before you even reach the fence. You have to decide which deer are calm enough to breed, how to safely move them, how to protect animals from injury, how to manage the breeding season, and how to stop a frightened herd from turning into a stampede. Then there's a practical question. What does a deer offer that a cow does not? Deer can provide venison. Their hides and antlers can be valuable. In some places, deer farming is a real industry, but cattle became something much larger because they could provide several major benefits at once. They gave meat, they gave milk, they gave leather, they gave dung that could be used as fuel or fertilizer. In some societies, they also provided traction, helping pull plows, carts, and loads. That is a powerful package. A family or village could keep cattle and gain food, materials, farm labor, and trade value from the same animals. Deer never offered that combination as easily. Deer milk was never a major dairy resource. Most deer are not built for the kind of repeated, high-volume milk production humans developed in cattle, goats, sheep, and camels. Deer were not widely suited to pulling plows or wagons, and their nervous, quick-moving nature made them less convenient as close daily companions. That does not mean deer were less valuable. It means cattle fit agriculture better. And timing mattered too. Domestication is not a contest where humans examine every animal on Earth and choose the objectively best one. History is messier than that. People domesticating cattle lived in particular places, faced particular climates, had particular plants and tools, and encountered particular wild animals. Once cattle were domesticated, they spread with farming societies. They became more useful because people already had fences, pastures, trade routes, and knowledge built around them. Success creates momentum. Once a society has cows, why spend centuries trying to turn deer into slightly worse cows? Cattle already work. They already breed in captivity. They already produce milk. They already fit the farm. Deer were often hunted because hunting deer was easier than building an entirely new relationship with them. But then we reach the great exception, reindeer. Reindeer and caribou are members of the deer family, but their relationship with humans developed in a very different environment. In Arctic and subarctic regions, people learned to work with animals adapted to cold, snow, long migrations, and sparse vegetation. Reindeer could travel through landscapes where wheeled vehicles were useless and cattle could not easily be maintained. They could provide meat, hides, antlers, transport, and connections across huge winter distances. For herding communities, reindeer were not failed cattle. They were exactly the right animal for the world they lived in. But reindeer herding often looks different from cattle ranching. Herds may range over enormous areas. Human control of breeding, movement, and feeding can vary from place to place. Some reindeer are heavily managed. Others retain much more independence. Wild, herded, and feral populations can also exist close to one another. That is why scientists sometimes debate whether particular reindeer systems should be called domesticated, semi-domesticated, or something in between. The important point is this. Domestication is not an on-off switch. It is a relationship. Some animals become deeply transformed by human selection. Others remain closer to their wild ancestors while still living alongside people. Reindeer show that deer can become partners in human life, but not necessarily in the same way cows did. Modern deer farming also comes with another serious complication: disease. Cervids, the family that includes deer, elk, moose, and reindeer, can be affected by chronic wasting disease, or CWD. It is a fatal neurological disease caused by abnormal proteins called prions. CWD is difficult to manage because infected animals can appear healthy for a long time, and infectious material can spread through bodily fluids and remain in the environment. That does not mean every deer farm has CWD, but it means deer farming requires strict disease surveillance, movement controls, fencing, testing, and biosecurity. In the United States, farmed cervids are regulated in part because of the risk of moving disease between herds and wild populations. This is another reason deer farms do not operate like ordinary cattle farms. The challenge is not one single problem, it is many problems layered together. Deer can be raised. Some deer can become used to people. Some species are farmed. Reindeer have supported herding societies for generations, but turning deer into cattle-like livestock would require changing more than fences. It would require generations of selection, major investment, careful disease control, new feeding systems, and a reason to do all of it when cattle, sheep, goats, and other domestic animals already fill those roles. So why do we not domesticate deer like cows? Because deer are not unfinished cows. They are a different answer to survival. Cows were shaped for grazing, herd management, and eventually agriculture. Deer were shaped for alertness, escape, seasonal movement, and life at the edge of the forest. Humans found ways to hunt them. Some communities found ways to herd them. Some farms found ways to raise them. But most deer remained wild because the world already had an animal better suited to become a cow. The next time you see a deer vanish into the trees, remember that its quickness is not the reason humans failed to domesticate it. It is the reason the deer succeeded without us. Do you think deer could become more cattle-like after thousands of years of breeding? Or would they always keep that wild instinct to run? Leave your answer in the comments and subscribe to Andy for more surprising stories about animals in the natural world.